anyone as accredited as I am?
Will we be able to see people as they come in?
I came from breads in the kitchen. Mama counting tips on the floor. Say, baby, learn all their systems and build a brand new door. Now I'm in the barroom shining, brown skin, laptop glow, turning every line of that data into seeds my people grow. Black coat, golden blood, I'm the future of my grandmama love. AI mine with an old soul drum, strong black woman, yeah, I'm the one. Hey. We write the rules, you rewrite the run. Put a story in the algorithm. Black coat, golden blood, carrying the legacy up. They ask, are you sure you belong here? I just laugh and sign the deal. My edge is laid, my number's louder. Every graph say what I feel. I train machines on our faces so they see us clear. Not fake. Teach the tech to honor our language. Every rhythm that we made, baby. Black hole, golden blood. I'm the future of my grandmama's love. AI mine with an old soul drum. Strong black woman, yeah, I'm the one. Wow. We write the rules, we write the run. Put our story in the algorithm. Black hole, golden blood, carrying the legacy up. Data stream from the chant to the chopper tree. We are more than a use case line. We're the reason that the stars still shine. Say my name in the source code. Say my tribe in the upload. If the world gonna automate, we automate our power, our grace. Black coat, golden blood. I'm the future of my grandmama's love. AI mine with an old soul drum. Strong black woman, yeah, I'm the one. Hey. We write the rules, we write the run. Put our story in the algorithm. Black coat, golden blood, carrying the legacy up. To my daughters yet to come, I'm building worlds you rise above. In every line, in every song. Black coat, golden blood, carrying our legacy up. I came from breads in the kitchen. Mama counting tips on the floor. Baby, learn all their systems and build a brand new door. Now I'm in the barroom shining, brown skin, laptop glow, turning every line of that data into seeds my people grow. Black coat, golden blood, I'm the future of my grandmama love. AI mine with an old soul drum. Strong black woman, yeah, I'm the one. Hey. We write the rules, you rewrite the run. Put our story in the algorithm. Black coat, golden blood, carrying the legacy up.
Oh, thank you.
Belong here. I just laugh and sign the deal.
Are you ready to get going?
My number's louder. Every graph say what.
Hello, and welcome everybody. Welcome to a conversation worth having. I'd like us each to just take a minute and arrive. So pull your energy in from all the places you send it and join us here in this live with your grounded intuition, your open heart, and your thinking brain, because this is a conversation and we want you to participate. So my name is Dr. Kacy. I'm a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist practicing out of Portland, Oregon. I primarily focus on complex PTSD and chronic pain, and I feel utterly blessed to be here today hosting this chat with these amazing humans before you. So why are we having a conversation worth having? from my voice, I'm going to say because we need Black women's voices in AI. In one of our meetings as we prepped for this, Miss Loretta Grace had said, Black women, we as Black women, we lift others up as we rise. Black women in our society have been left with the least resources typically. And these women, they are skillful, they are creative, they are ingenious, ingenuitive. I think I'm making up words between intuitive and ingenious. They're able to see where people need support and fill that support gap. We need this conversation now more than ever. I had the pleasure this morning to talk with a man named Ace Campbell. Ace Campbell is a friend of my father-in-law. Both of them are high up in military or Army intelligence in their careers. And Ace Campbell is one of the first people to create AI. He's a Black man. AI is a Black legacy. And women have been involved the entire time. They've been left out of the history. This is what Ace told me in our conversation today. So this is personal story I'm sharing with you. AI came from machine learning. The first use was in World War II. And Ace used the first fully automated AI in combat during Desert Storm 1. Women were in World War II helping with the code talkers that broke the code from Germany. It was a place called Bletchley Park in England where this top secret crew of people, many of them women, they were puzzlers, they were code breakers. They were using the first AI in intelligence to break the code, and which turned the war in our favor. We've also seen women in AI. I guess recently, Ace was telling me about a Black woman that is using AI to change vaccine science so we can easily build AI. I am so excited about this panel today. Ace was really, Mr. Ace Campbell was so excited about this panel. He is so on board with Black women leading the voice in AI. He thinks that this is a place where we have cottage industry, where Black culture just honors entrepreneurship so much, and it's so much about changing the way capitalism is done in our society, that like he wants to see women leading the course, because what he's noticed in his long career since the late 80s in AI, mid to late 80s he's been in it, that men are leaving out the moral side. We need women's voices so we can see who truly needs to be served, whose voices are missing from the rooms that have power and are creating the decisions around AI, and what are our morals? What are our ethical guidelines? We have 3 phenomenal people here with us today. And I first want to just back up a little bit. I'm a self-identified Luddite who conversations with these 3 women are changing my way of thinking and my way of being. I really hate AI. Like, hello, I'm that person that's like, ooh, what about the water? What about the ethical stuff? Ooh, it's so yucky. What are we going to do with we're thinking? Like, that's my initial reactions. And through my conversations with these women, a lot with my spouse and with Ace, I'm learning how much AI is in our lives. And Ace had a little bit of advice to the audience that even though people are afraid of AI, they have been using it for a very long time every day of their lives. So it's just more about acceptance of what is. And with these panelists, I'm so excited because they're going to be they're doing the inner work, the forethought, and the practice and action. They're putting it into play. And so they are the ones that we need to be listening to. Today we have with us Dr. Deborah. She was born in North Carolina, and she brings a unique blend of creative and human-centered experiences to her work. She has a background as a music teacher, ordained clergy, and a chaplain. She has a strong foundation in communication, storytelling, and connecting with people. In the past year, she's transitioned into her AI video design career, focusing on 3D animation and photorealistic visuals. Her work is shaped by a deep appreciation of art and music, which influences how she approaches visual storytelling and design. Deborah is particularly interested in how emerging technologies like AI can enhance learning, engagement, and creative expression. I got to look up what Deborah means, and it means wisdom and leadership, particularly with clear discernment and a spiritual lens on it. So if you're working with Dr. Deborah, you're going to have such clarity and discernment in her work. It'll really take you places you might not expect. Then we have, oh yes, yay! I like on the videos, if you want to like applaud, you can sometimes do this because otherwise sound can get messy. Then we have Loretta Grace, who is our next panelist, and she is a board-certified musical therapist, an AI animation specialist, the founder of Everyday Dynamic Arts and Learning Center. She spent a decade at the intersection of nervous system science, therapeutic arts, and technology. She's creating learning experiences for neurodiverse children and adults who support them. And you may have seen her TED Talk, or TEDx talk, I should say. There is a little difference there, on emergency dance parties in the transformative classroom. That's part of the reason why we wanted to start the meeting with a little dance. And the music was created by Loretta Grace. And this tells you everything you need to know about her approach. She believes in regulated educators to create regulated environments, and she uses AI animation to make that invisible work visible. And what I've heard her refer to her true title as, she is a prompt engineer. And so we welcome Loretta Grace. And then we have Yunique with us today. Oh, and I forgot. Miss Loretta Grace's name, I looked into that too, and it means honored grace. So I take that as we have the honor and privilege of her grace in these really sensitive spaces in society of neurodivergence and nervous systems and healing through music. So I just love that your name fits your calling. Each of their names really, like, you can tell that they found their path and they were named so well in that path that they are still discovering. So we come to Yunique. Yunique works at the intersection of privacy, security, and law. That's called AI governance. I had never heard of this before. I'm so intrigued by this. She helps organizations make AI decisions that they can defend legally, ethically, and operationally. Before advising on AI, she spent years leading governance, and I had to ask her what these acronyms were. So okay, I got to look it up. Sorry. She spent her time as Chief Information Security Officer and Data Protection Officer, building frameworks inside highly regulated environments where mistakes carried real consequences. That experience shapes how she works today. She's practical, risk-aware, and grounded in accountability. Oh, we need so much accountability in AI. Yeah. Yunique believes that governance only works when it's understandable, it's usable, and aligned with human impact. It's not just a technical capability. So I wanted to, and got to get to her name, Yunique. I think we mostly all can think of what that means. One of a kind. We need this one of a kind, out of the box thinker on this really, really, I think, bedrock foundation of what AI can be built upon, and like how it can keep the scaffolding and structure in AI that keeps us all protected and safe and accountable to our actions and the action our AI has as well. So I wanted to go back to, welcome. Yes, so happy you all are here. I wanted to go back to an analogy that Mr. Ace Campbell had given me about AI. He likened AI to fire. Fire can be something that you can do so much with. You can cook, you can warm, you can ignite, you can create, you can do so much. You can nourish an entire community with fire when the food that you cook on it, right? But fire is also really destructive and dangerous if wielded in the wrong way. So he was really cautionary about, that old adage, if you play with fire, you might get burned. He said AI is like fire in this way, except for it's actually like lightning in a bottle. It's much more powerful and moves much more quickly. So I wanted to start with an opening question with all of these beautiful humans on this panel about how do each of you see yourself playing with fire? With the fire that is AI? How do you feel like you can take it as, just briefly, what do you want to engender? Like, what's your calling, your highest calling to engender in your AI path? And then also, what are you cautious of? What are you afraid might get destroyed? Or what do you see within yourself or your peers or your industry where you might get in your own way? I'm a practitioner. I get to see a lot of people's lives. One foolproof pattern I've seen that humans all are like, I don't know, we're just really good at getting in our own way. Like a pattern of humanity is we're so good at getting in our own way. And so how do you see maybe, the fiery side, the burn you side of AI, that we might get in our own way as humanity? So any of the three of you burning to answer first?
Sure, I'll start. So for me, I think AI it's very powerful, right? Like we talk about fire, and there's two sides to fire, the good side and obviously the bad side. And AI it can be very powerful, but it can also be very destructive. And in the work I do, I want people to understand the two sides of that coin. It can equalize small businesses, who want to move away from tasks that take a lot of their time away from their business. It can be used in that capacity. But there's a negative side. When AI has bias, when AI is in the position to make critical decisions, life or death decisions without any impact from a human, it has disastrous consequences. And in that basis, we need to be aware of that. So as much as we utilize all these AI tools, we have to understand that the same tools we utilize for good can also be utilized for bad. And so the work I do in AI governance and even AI literacy is to educate people about both sides of that coin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Love that. I'm going to piggyback right off of that. Yunique and I talk a lot about having a human in your AI workflow. It should never be AI to AI to AI to AI, and then that's it. There need to be humans, in that line. And I'll use the clinic, for example. So as a clinician, when I'm working with a patient or a client, I may do things like bring in general technology, a hoverboard for gross motor output, which has been really, really fun, or use an LLM, with ChatGPT, for example, for a patient who's having a really difficult time finding the words to express what they're wanting to express. They may have 5 words, but not a whole song. And we have 30 minutes to work with. And, an LLM can help us create some of those lyrics that they can then say, oh yeah, that's what I mean. And then bam, I grab a guitar and we're off to the races. But if I'm not there to vet those words as they come out before I present them to my client, and knowing that I have the expertise and the skill set to understand both the words and the client to know what may or may not be triggering, then you can run into big trouble. And so there always has to be a human involved with every part of that workflow, and checks and balances as things evolve and change, because we've seen it change very quickly since it's become even bigger.
Yeah. As for me with AI, sometimes it wakes me up in the middle of the night, because I think to myself, what kind of lightning am I playing with right now? What have I really gotten myself into from this huge career shift to this AI world? So for me, I'm approaching it with caution, with a lot of discernment, and keeping my clients in mind, because I'm thinking about IP, intellectual property. I'm thinking about confidentiality. I'm talking about what information am I putting out there about my client? What am I doing, putting out there about myself? So this is a fine line that I think I'm walking. And so I have to be mindful of my values and my ethics as I work with clients with their sensitive information.
Yeah, when I think about the systems that we live in society, it's a lot about power and resource. And it sounds like each of you within yourself has a lot of decisions to make around the power that you're wielding and the resources that you're utilizing as well as providing.
Yeah.
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 And I just want to remind people on the live, you're welcome in the comments to add any questions you have that come up as we're talking throughout this conversation this afternoon. I would like to move into a little bit more I really appreciated hearing about the two-sided coin of fire. And I love the idea of integrating humans into AI. It's like, so far we've always heard about AI integration, and now you're like, no, but we need to integrate the humans into the AI. And I love the depth of thought and discernment, true to your name, Deborah, that you're using in that. So I would like to now move into thinking a little bit more about how you each are actually using AI. Both Dr. Deborah and Loretta Grace use AI to make videos and on automations and animations. And so we were talking a lot about how when you are the person creating the images and the language, you're creating the culture and the zeitgeist of the direction our culture then thinks about things and what words they have access to process their experience. So, and within your field, Yunique, you have talked about like, how do we navigate thinking versus using AI to avoid the discomfort of thinking? So I'd like us to kind of touch a little bit about how we're using our thinking and our language and our framing towards our AI integration into our business, or our human AI integration into our businesses. So we can do round table again, or if you just feel like you really want to expound on it for a while, that's fine too.
Yeah, this afternoon, I was working on a new project for a new client, and this is AI assisted. So I'm adding the human element, but let's be realistic, AI is helping me. And so I was working and I said to myself, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. That sounds too plastic. That looks too plastic. There's no emotion here. I don't like the way that feels. So I'm finding myself stepping back and going, wait a minute, I need to think more about my creativity and what I'm adding to it, and not let AI dictate me, that I dictate it. And so that was interesting this afternoon. I'm thinking, I don't like this. So I'm going to start all over again and add more, make sure there's more of a human element to this work. And that's my goal, for it to sound human and not mechanical, or to look like it's purely a computer and no human-centered work to it.
Well, I love that. I want to just hop in real quick, Loretta Grace, before you add to that.
Yeah,
Mr. Campbell was talking about the Turing test. So Alexander Turing made the first machine learning, which is what AI was called before. And there's something in the industry called the Turing test, which is where you put a human and a computer together, and you see if the human can tell that whether it's a computer or a human. And so that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, you want all your work to pass that Turing test. Sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
See, now I need to go find people to take the test. Jeez. You know, context is so important, and it's important human to human. Forget about before we even touch machines or robots. And in my work as an animator, I am a translator. I translate a lot of human behavior, especially child behavior, so that adults can better understand that if a child is dysregulated, doesn't necessarily mean they're intentionally misbehaving or being defiant, right? It's a language, it's communication, and how to understand that so we can design better systems. But the context is not something that AI can understand because it is not human. And so I've been hired to do things like create animations within a certain environment, because I understand the feeling and the emotion of what it's like to be in that environment. So as a prompt engineer, it becomes my responsibility to add the pauses, the gasps, the emotion, specific music that directs the audience about the feeling behind the scene. That's not something AI does inherently. It's trained to do that in a lot of ways, and that is dictated by who's training it. And so I have to give a shout out to True Tones. Y'all just look it up, okay? Just look it up, True Tones, because it was designed to break through that bias of complexion and how AI was
Nice.
right, generating complexion or the lack thereof. that's out there. And True Tones really solved that problem and bridged that gap. And I'm ever so grateful because I use it all the time in my animations. And my clients benefit because now they can see themselves and it helps me to tell that story.
I love that. It reminds me of when the box of crayons came out for all the different skin tones. It's like, oh, wow, we can actually do things now that actually represent more than one type of person.
Or brown bandages.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, don't get me started. That's a whole other talk, y'all.
That's not the topic.
Yeah, I really love that. I think when I think in the work that I do, we tend to say we want AI to be more and more human. And somehow when we're using it, we forget AI is not human. It cannot emulate human feelings. And a lot of the issues that we have is when we try and make it replace human activities. That's why the human in the loop is so important, because we need to be able to understand this is a tool. And we need to use it as a tool. And I think the more progressive we come with AI, the more tools that come out, we start to want it to think as well as act. And when we fall into that thinking and acting, that's when we start to see real issues. We have to remember that the human element is so important because that's what makes all of us unique. The ability to have that critical thinking to determine what's right, what's wrong. We can't give that to AI to make those decisions. If you think of life and death situations, having a doctor understand the critical elements, be able to make those decisions is absolutely crucial. Not because they're a doctor, but think of all the knowledge, all the experience, all the real world knowledge that they're bringing to make that decision. As much as we may teach AI, and as much as it's learning all the time, it cannot make those human decisions. And so the main thing I want to have others understand is it shouldn't replace critical thinking. It shouldn't replace the act. There must be someone in the middle to be able to determine if that action should take place. When we remove that human in the loop and have AI almost solicit itself and determine if its action is good or bad, then you can already see the road that we're going to be heading down. And unfortunately, the more sophisticated these tools get, the more we use AI agents and MCPs and all these intermediary AI tools, the more which we're losing a little bit of that. So when I work with organizations, or even when I train and educate AI literacy, it's really important to have them understand that they can't give away that ability to AI, because they start to lose something of themselves, and then we head in dangerous territory, as I said.
With all of your answers to that question, I had this image and analogy come up. So I heard Dr. Deborah kind of wrestling with the power dynamic with IA, like how much power do I give the AI? How much power is the AI wielding over me? I heard Yunique talk about AI as a tool, and then Loretta Grace as the context. So it's like we have to find a tool we can wield at the right time for the job that we're doing. Does that sound kind of like what you're all summating with that? I was just like, wow, we're going into carpentry all of a sudden in AI.
There's evidence in just thinking about the three of us. There's evidence in that work because we met in the same workshop, in the same training workshop in Gozi Cadmus. Amazing. And when you look at all of our work, the animations that we've done, they're all drastically different styles. And to me, that's evidence of the humanness in our work.
Yeah. So a question came in for you, Yunique. What is your work in AI literacy?
Oh, thanks, Pam. So this is where I start to slip into Dr. Deborah and Loretta's territory, where I use animation to educate kids on on AI. You know, AI is entering in schools, entering in their lives, and they're using these tools without understanding, as I mentioned, the good and bad, and we need to educate them early. And so I do a lot of work and give workshops in educating kids, and not just kids, also adults, because adults also need to, if you think of parents, if you are a parent of a child that's using AI in school, you need to educate yourself in order to educate them on safe usage. So I also do AI literacy workshops for kids. And I actually have just written a book, a little plug for myself, called The App Is Not Your Friend, and released June 1st. And it's a workbook and a chapter book, as well as a web companion that teaches kids the safe use of AI. Now, what I want to get from that book is to help kids understand the app isn't your friend. And we talk about the human element, critical thinking. Like, sometimes when you download these companions, kids talk to them as if it's a friend. It's not a friend. And we need to be able to educate them about what they can reveal to these apps. So the book that I have is really meeting them where they are and helping them understand safe uses of AI, and helping also adults understand how they can teach kids, if they are going to use it, how to use it to protect their mental health, because that's so important. Kids' minds are still growing, so we need to input good information to them.
I love the intergenerational aspect of all of your work as well. There's a large piece of that, and it's so different with the generations alive right now because of how technology was introduced to each of our generations. I wanted to back up a little bit. Loretta Grace, you had mentioned LLM, language learning models, and I think this ties into what you were saying, Yunique, and correct me if I'm wrong because I have a very small understanding of AI, but language learning models are what ChatGPT and Claude and a lot of them use, and it's actually, they're just trying to algorithmically find the next best word.
That's right.
And so it's literally just tons of words, and they're just choosing the next best word. So there's not actually thought. The algorithms don't actually mimic human emotionality or thought process or criticality like you were speaking to. And so I think that, thinking of people like me who was like, AI is scary, I don't want anything to do with it. But as I'm learning, I'm like, oh, it actually makes a lot more sense how it's a tool.
Yeah, they're really sophisticated, very sophisticated predictors.
Power lightning fast tool. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it took me, I think, about 10 years of trying to use a power drill before I actually stopped hand screwing things. So AI feels really big. So I wanted to move forward and, or just check in. Do any of you want to add anything before we move forward to the next kind of round of questioning or set of questioning? Or if anybody in the audience wants to add anything as well. I wanted to get into a little bit how the technicality of how you actually make the AI animations and the music, because I think a lot of people, I know, thank you, Pam, for putting the True Tones AI. I didn't realize true was not spelled with an E in that, so that's very helpful. Thank you. So I just kind of wanted the technicality. So like, we have theory and practice. So when you're practicing using AI, I want to hear what your rubs are. Where do you really come into places you're like, oh, I wish it would do this, but it doesn't? Or, okay, what am I not thinking about that I need to also think about? Like, I've heard people putting in like an answer from ChatGPT into Claude and then back to, and I'm like, wow, that's some mental gymnastics that I can't understand. And so I'm just kind of curious how you guys navigate that piece of it. Like, how do you know which tools you want to use? How do you navigate the technicality of what you're doing while keeping the human involved?
I think for me, before I even start working on a client project, I look at the software that I'm going to use, because all softwares are not created equal. And so I take the time to read the term and services of the software. And I think we as human beings in this new app world, when we go to the store, we go to the Apple store, or the App Store, we just hit accept. I agree. And we don't want to read all that fine print. And I'm saying for everybody out in the cyber world is to take the time to read what you are using, because you can put your personal information out there, your content that you are creating. For some websites, for some software, you don't own it. You don't have ownership of it. You need to find out if you delete your account, will your data be erased or will it stay in cyberspace? When you create that image or you put your child's picture up to create an avatar, that picture stays up there and it can be used by the large language machine to create other images. So before I start, and it's even on my website, I do not use what they consider as high risk software because I don't want any images that my client may not want on the website, on the internet, to be scraped by other softwares. So that's the first thing that I do before I start even developing characters. So I'll let everybody else add, but that's a big burning point for me, to just read what you're using and think about how you're going to use it and how much information are you willing to put out there.
That's so funny because I do the exact, I take it from the other direction. I reverse engineer it. And so I spend a lot of time with my client in the beginning phases with alignment, with emotional alignment, with mental alignment, making sure I fully understand exactly how the end client, the end user wants to feel while they're watching the animation, because that will help me dictate which tools I want to use. You know, there are certain tools out there that are better at emotion, certain tools that are better at, oh my gosh, 4 characters in one shot versus 1 or 2. And I also have a very specific style where my scenes flow into one another versus being cut, and then you have the next scene cut and then the next scene. And so I need a tool that's going to be really good at that fluidity. And so that really changes the short list of tools that I use and how I use them. And then I go back to the beginning and take it where Deborah was mentioning and meet it in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And track every step, y'all, because when you mess up, and you will, you need to figure out where that happened.
That's so true. I think for me, I approach it maybe from my security and privacy lens, like determining the level of risk that you're willing to take. So I have a very small tool stack. I kind of know a couple of set of tools really well, and I stick to that. But then in terms of like the information or what you're generating, you have to look at the level of risk, not just you, but your client's willing to accept. And so that should also be put in the contract. I know we haven't really talked about that, but when you are taking on a new client, you know, you need to put some of that stuff in the contract to protect you and the data and your generation of information and pictures and all of that. So you need to have a very, very strong contract. But for me, I just have a small tool stack and I utilize them and I know them very well. Now, those credits, all those credits add up. So, I mean, if you want to have use multiple tools, then, you know, you think of those credits when you're generating. And those who are in animation, every animation, every video, every picture that you generate takes a certain amount of credit. The more complex your generation, the more complex those pictures and those credits can disappear. And just like ChatGPT, you know, when you're using something like Kling, Seedance, it hallucinates too. You know, you start off saying you want it to have 2 arms and 2 legs, and suddenly there's an arm floating from somewhere. So you got to keep credit seat up. So for me, it's about just having a small tool stack, understanding the risks, the security risk, the privacy risk, which, like Dr. Deborah said, is looking at those terms and conditions. How do they feel for you in terms of the work that you provide? And if you're willing to accept that, then make sure that you feel comfortable with those terms. But just like everything else, also have an asset inventory, right? If you're using AI, make sure you know what tools you're using. That's the other thing I do as well. I make sure that I have an inventory of the tools that I'm using, because there's new ones all the time.
Yeah, I wanted to add something before we move forward. which sometimes is overlooked. Yunique said something about legal. I think is really important. If you're doing this for fun, you're sitting at home, you're burning up all those credits to make fun videos just for yourself. But if you are creating this kind of stuff for clients, nonprofits, big companies, small companies, whatever the case may be, to take the time, take the money to get legal advice and to get a legally drawn up contract, because we can say, oh, it would never happen to me until it happens to you. So it can be costly, but I think it's something worthwhile investing in, and you'll sleep a whole lot better at night when you're working with your clients if you know that you are legally protected and you have some precautions and some guidelines in place. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I think I was thinking about that too, along those lines, Dr. Deborah, is I would love to hear from each of you as you're thinking. You told us a lot about what you think about going into these contracts. I want to hear about your exit plans for if things aren't working out, or if it's not the right foot, or they want to fit, or they want to pressure you into using a software that you're not used to, or like Pam said, how do we keep up with AI software that's changing all the time? What if it becomes obsolete and then our client can't plug it into their system? So kind of how do you troubleshoot those discrepancies and like exiting out of contracts if intention and impact don't line up?
Yeah. I have a kill clause in all of my contracts, and I literally call it a kill clause. Yeah. And it goes both ways. And the way that it works, and I've rewritten it, many times, but the way that it works is if all of a sudden we're not vibing for whatever reason, we pause right there and we prorate exactly where we are. You have everything that I've worked on that you've paid for, because mama don't work for free, and I go my way, and everything is agreed upon at the very beginning. I also work in what I call milestones. So every project is broken down into sections, because before I move on to that next segment of my work, I want to make sure you are completely satisfied. I want to make sure you understand what is the difference between a character's features and character restyling, and to understand that if you want me to change a character's features, that's a completely different service than restyling their hair or restyling their clothes, which is a lot easier. And so there's a lot of education that goes into the process as you're developing this relationship between you and your client, so everyone's on the same page. Communication is key. It's business, right? That part hasn't changed.
Yeah. Thank you. Right. I love that kill clause. I'm like, yes. Just clearly put it out there. I like the other panelists. Do either of you want to comment on that? On exit plans or navigating difficult contract moments?
As for myself, I've been working as a subcontractor for the client, so I follow their lead, and fortunately, so far there's been no issues with that. But I do know, in order to please the client, that I have to keep producing and to give them what they want. So far, knock on wood, I haven't had an issue where I would need to terminate a relationship yet. But I really need to break it down like Loretta Grace does, to have a really powerful kill clause in there.
We all need.
Is it a kill call or kill it clause?
Kill clause.
Okay, kill clause. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. I think for me, it's all in the contract. I think that's my security side, right? Like when the work is done, data is deleted, documents are handed back, nothing's kept on my computer, because if you lose anything or any issues happen and it's on your laptop, you need to also be putting that in the contract. How do you let the client know, the past client? So the best thing is once you finish the job, you delete it, you hand everything back, and you give them a certain amount of time or when they can come back to any issues. You don't want to be indebted to them forever, right? So I'd make sure that, and that's where we talk about again, it needs to be a very strong contract. You need to cover all of these. And as for the kill clause, I like that. So I think I need to update my contracts to have a
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I think I'm selling myself short. In this contract I did have created, it is something in there about how we will walk away and end the relationship. Yeah.
I like that you also
Definitely.
mentioned the kill clause was reciprocal and prorated. That's
Yes.
and thinking of this idea of who you're doing contracts with in business, I want to back up a little bit to the ethics of who we choose to do business with and how we want our business relationships to be, because it's the only other place in money outside, or in our society outside of marriage. Business is the only place we tie our money with other people. And so just thinking about some of the tenets of our society and the white dominant culture we live in, and how do we have transformational business relationships rather than simply transactional, so that we really can respect the voices that need to be heard that aren't heard, and the people who need to be served that we're actually intending to serve in the way they want to be served. Is that yeah.
Yeah, we focus a lot on we get very specific with the type of client that we want to work with. We get very specific with the type of consults that we accept. And it's okay to say, my mission is not aligned with your mission. So speaking for myself, I do not work with clients and businesses that don't align with my own personal values, my own business values, my own mission. And I go specifically for mission-driven organizations and mission-driven people. Now, if there's someone that I know that I can refer out to, more than happy to do so. And we do that quite often. But I'm not afraid to say no, because these projects can get very in depth. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of your own energy, right? Your own chi. And so I don't want to be giving that away, and I don't want them to give that away to myself either. So I'm more than happy to refer out, or just tell them, I'm not the right animator for you. There are many animators out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. Coming from my background, if we can't line up in a spiritual universe kind of way where there's a good vibe and a good energy, I can't do it, because that's the creative part of me. It's like you're stifling, like you said, Loretta Grace, you're stifling my chi, and I can't work with you. And I'm an emerging small business. I'm a minority women-owned small business. I'm a minority. I'm an African-American woman, and I have an opinion, and I have creativity, and I have input. And so if that cannot be embraced, then you're not the right client for me. I can't do it. Yeah.
No, I love that. And I think that alignment is so true. I think in my AI governance business, it's a little bit different, because when people approach me to work with them, it's to determine if their AI use is ethical, right? Is it defensible? That's how I approach it. And what does that mean? It means that, can your AI use stand up to scrutiny? Does it address issues of fairness, bias? Is it transparent? Is it, if you're in a regulated environment, does it stand up to regulators? And so when people are coming to me, a lot of times it's because they've heard of AI, they started using it, and they're not sure of their next steps. And they just want to check where they are. So I go in, and so in that relationship, it's not so much about their one-to-one relationship. It's how you're ethically using it within your organization. And so when I'm coming to determine those steps. And that's where I utilize my clear framework. So it's a little detached then from an animator. When I do animations, it's a little bit different, because then you want to be much more closely aligned, because they're hiring you for your skill set. They're hiring you because you are you, because you're unique. And so if you're not aligned with them and they're not aligned, you're not going to be creative. It's going to be, you're going to be trying to be creative in a box. And so it's a different relationship than when I approach it as an animator, or as someone using animation to educate on AI literacy. like I said, I walk into an organization and I look at the whole and say, okay, are you using AI ethically? So there's two, again, I'm using the same phrase, two sides of the same coin, but you know, I have to change hats every now and then. But overall, it's about responsible AI use.
Thank you. So I want to go back to Mr. Ace Campbell's idea of cottage industry and how you see yourself as a Black woman leading your industry, and what is unique about your voice in your, because you're each in slightly different fields. You all use AI software and yourself within your businesses, but I really want to hear, like, how do you see your cottage industry and yourself as a leading voice in that cottage industry? Like, what sets you apart, and why do we want to choose you in the future? And maybe if you don't have the exact answers, what kind of questions would you want somebody to be pondering if this is how they want to dive into it as well?
I would love to answer that. For me, the work I do is about making sure Black and brown underrepresented communities understand the benefits, but also the harms of AI. You know, blue collar workers who are not sitting at their computers, you know, who are affected by AI but don't understand it. And so I want to educate those communities in how they can protect themselves and increase their knowledge. And I don't know if she's still on the call, but Lisa Pisano, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I had a conversation about Indigenous people and their genealogy, and how AI to them means something different. And so when I talked about underrepresented communities, that whole community was not a community that I had even included, but the way that they see AI as a negative to the way that, well, it's not a negative, but it's the way that it's used to affect their genealogy. It was really, really interesting. And if you want to know more, please reach out, because it's so fascinating to understand how AI is treated in communities. When we think of it within the US construct, we think of Black and brown in terms of the negative effects like credit and things like that, but it's so much more, so much bigger than that. So what I would like people to think of me when they think of AI governance is someone who really trailblazed for communities, underrepresented communities as a whole, and educated them and protected their information, their rights, and their genealogy, and worked with other communities to make sure that happens.
Thank you so much.
Y'all write that down. That was good.
I'm like, trailblazer and protector. Yunique now has a new meaning to her name.
Yeah. I was really thinking about how, as a child, I was always told children are to be seen and not heard all the time. Mm-hmm. Right. And as a teacher working in the classroom, working in schools, I saw it all the time. Sit down and be quiet. Sit down and fold your hands. In a grocery store, go over there and be quiet, you know, while I do the shopping, while I talk to the cashier. You see it everywhere. And part of why I chose the niche that I did is because as a minority, oh my gosh, do I understand what it's like to be seen and not heard. You know, they love our clothes, they love our style, but don't talk. Right? They love our representation. They want our beautiful picture on the staff photo, but don't talk. Right? And if I can use my animations and my videos as a language to help adults understand the child who's always told to be seen and not heard in a way that they'll hear them, why not? Also, it's gorgeous and fun. And if I can teach, you know, children, teens, workshops to do the same for themselves and give them another voice, another language to then use for themselves, that's just a bonus, honey.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
So Loretta's now become language leader.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one.
And Dr.
Let's
Deborah?
see. Yeah, I was thinking, why hire me? Is that I really, coming from a background as being a teacher, a spiritual leader, a music background, that is an opportunity for me to bring that into the kind of work that I do. It's not one-sided, it's a little bit of everything. And to create something that's powerful and profound, that would bring me joy. And it's really powerful for me to be able to work for myself, because I am officially a senior. So, yeah, AARP followed me for 20 years. And so now it's official. So, yeah, it's nice working for myself, and I can invest in myself. And so I'm really happy about that. What I would like to be able to do in the future is be able to work with other seniors who are being abused by AI, who are not making the right decisions and being manipulated by large language machines. So I'm still exploring that on how I can educate my generation and older generations so they don't get exploited. So that's what I would like to be able to do.
Oh, I love protecting our wise elders and honoring them. We're so glad you're in this space with us.
Yes, I'm very wise.
I know it.
Yeah. I'm a senior.
I would like to respect everyone's time. We are coming to a close. I did get a bit of advice from Mr. Ace Campbell for the ladies of the panel. I don't think I can emulate his voice because I'm not an impressionist, but I'll just say the words. He said, "Ladies, don't let anybody stop your innovation. If you can think it, you can make it happen." And I think that's true for all of us, whether we're on the panel or we're not. We just need to be grounded in our intuition with open hearts and our thinking brains on so we can have the criticality to keep everybody safe and not get burned.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I'm so grateful.
So should we play our song?
I think we should have a little dance party on the way out. That sounds everyone watching too, please join us. And I love, Pam, how you said it's not too late to learn, grow, and contribute to the world. Yes, our wise elders have long, rich lives that we want them to participate in with us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much. Okay, here's music created by Loretta Grace.
And
Teach the tech to honor our language, every rhythm that we made, baby. Black hole, golden blood, I'm the future of my grandmama's love. AI mind with an old soldier, I'm strong black woman. Yeah, I'm the one. Whoa. We write the rules, we write the run, put our story in the algorithm. Black hole, golden blood, carrying the legacy up. Data stream, from the chant to the chopper tree. We are more than a use case line. We're the reason that the stars still shine.
Oh, you're welcome, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all so much for being here and present. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you.
You're inspiring.
All right.
Love you, Tamika.
To my daughters yet to come, I'm building worlds you rise above in every line, in every song. Black hole, golden blood, carrying our legacy up.
Yes. All right. Bye, LinkedIn world.
Awesome.